striving for power and control characterizes all narcissistic individuals. Not every narcissist gains power, and not every person with power is a narcissist. But a need for power is part of the narcissistic disorder. What is the relation between narcissism and power, then? Narcissism develops from the denial of feelings. Although the denial of feeling affects all feeling, two emotions in particular are subject to severe inhibition. Those are sadness and fear. They are singled out because their expression makes the person suffering from narcissism feel vulnerable. To express sadness leads to an awareness of loss and evokes longing. To long for someone or to need someone leaves the person open to possible rejection and humiliation. Not wanting or not feeling desire is a defense against possible hurt. The denial of fear has a similar objective. If the narcissist doesn't feel afraid, he doesn't feel vulnerable. Presumably, one can't be hurt in that case. The denial of sadness and fear enables a person to project an image of independence, courage, and strength. This image that the narcissist upholds therefore hides the person's vulnerability from him or herself. What's worth mentioning, though, is that this image is only a fake and therefore impotent. In itself, an image has no force that resides in the strength of the individual's feelings. Lacking the effective force of strong feelings, the narcissist needs and seeks power to make up the deficiency. Power seems to energize the narcissistic's image, to give it a potency it would not otherwise have. I remember one of my classmates at medical school. He was a small man, about 5 feet 2 inches in height. To compensate for his physical smallness, he developed a grand image of himself. While he was still a first-year student, he declared his intention to resolve the mystery of consciousness. His arrogance also showed itself in an interesting detail. Where most of us use the expression, "it's 6 of one, a half dozen of another," to express equality, this man always said, "it's 12 of one, a dozen of another." True, this mark in itself hardly impressed people with his bigness, but it did reveal his preoccupation with large size. More clearly designed to impress was the fact that at a time and in a place where few people had cars, and those who did had small ones, this man drove a big Buick. Through the power of his car, he felt and projected an image of bigness, toughness, and being strong. With enough money or power, one can endow an image with seeming significance and force. With a bomb or a gun, the weakest people can see themselves as a powerful force in the world. Ironically, they are. They have a power to destroy that the average person doesn't have. Everyone is vulnerable to being hurt, rejected, or humiliated at some point of their lives. Yet not all of us deny our feelings, try to project an image of invulnerability and superiority, or strive for power. The difference lies in our childhood experiences. As children, narcissists suffer from an analysts describe as a severe narcissistic injury, a blow to self-esteem that scars and shapes their personalities. This injury, suffered during childhood, entails humiliation, specifically the experience of being powerless, while another person enjoys the exercise of power and control over the narcissist when they were a child. When a child is constantly exposed to humiliation in one form or another, the fear of humiliation becomes structured in the body and in the mind. Such a person could easily vow, "When I grow up, I'm going to do Jeet Kune Do. I'll get power, and neither you nor anyone else will be able to do this to me again. Real Jeet Kune Do." Unfortunately, as we shall see in further episodes, such narcissistic injuries happen to many children in our society because parents often use power to control their children for their own personal ends. For narcissists, control serves the same function as power. It protects them from possible humiliation. First, they control themselves by denying those feelings which might make them vulnerable, but they also have to control situations in which they find themselves. They have to make sure that there is no possibility that some other person will have power over them. Power and control are two sides of the same coin. Together they work to protect the individual from feeling vulnerable, from feeling powerless, to prevent a possible humiliation. And that is something the narcissist fears more than anything. Power confers status. Isn't that a valid objective? We are all status seekers, and so are many other animals. Among chickens in the barnyard, there is a pecking order, no pun intended, reflecting the status of each hen. Status plays an important role in regulating relations among all animals that live in groups, such as flocks or hunting packs. In such groups, a hierarchy is quickly established among the individual members. Status or position in the hierarchy determines precedence in the two most important functions in animal life, which are access to food and sex. Translated into human terms, this means that the king would get the best food and the fairest lady, which was in fact the practice in medieval times. Among animals, this system has a definite survival value for the species, for it ensures the reproduction of the strongest and best adapted members. One might speculate that a similar system operated in early human societies. Presumably the chiefs would have been the strongest, bravest, and wisest, possessing qualities that would promote the welfare of their peoples. If their mates also possessed these qualities, their offspring would, in most likelihood, inherit them as well. Originally, then, status led to power, but once power entered the human situation, that relationship became reversed. Power created status. The association of status with power extended the image of sexual potency to persons with power. This explains why so many women are sexually excited by and attracted to men with power. There would be no problem if power belongs to a superior individual, but that is not generally the case today. The reverse is often true. The man who needs and seeks power is in most cases relatively impotent sexually. Power is his way to compensate a lack of sexual potency. The question that arises is, how do women fit into this scheme? Do women narcissists seek power to compensate for some sense of sexual inadequacy? Yes. Power is the antidote to feelings of inadequacy and insensitivity on both the personal and the sexual levels, and women are as subject to these feelings as men are. Like any man, they can strive for power in the worlds of business, politics, sports, and Jeet Kune Do. I am talking here about the need for and the striving for power by teaching Jeet Kune Do classes. Generally speaking, the degree of narcissism is inversely proportional to sexual potency. But to understand this statement, we must recognize, again, the tie of sexual potency to feelings. For the man, sexual potency is not measured by the frequency of sexual activity or by his erective potency. Frequent sexual activity may be compulsive, stemming from a need for reassurance, or it may be impulsive, stemming from an inability to contain the sexual excitement. Erective potency, the ability to maintain an erection for an extended period of time during intercourse, may be a power maneuver. In effect, the man may say to the woman in body language, "See how powerful I am. Look what I can do for you." His focus is on power, represented by his ability to satisfy a woman, or, in the social context, an imagined community and imagined audience. Unfortunately, this focus is at the expense of the man's own pleasure and fulfillment. What it denotes is the typically narcissistic need for approval and admiration, nor, in the end, is the women, or in the social context, the audience, ever fulfilled. True, sexual potency is measured by the depth of one's feelings of love for the other person, yet these feelings are greatly reduced in the narcissist. Power can energize the image, but it does nothing for the self and the feelings. As we have seen, an overinvestment in the image weakens the true self. By the same token, an overinvestment of energy in the struggle for power reduces the amount available for sexual pleasure. Misguided about the true source of sexual potency, the person seeks more power.